Okay, then I'll start. Hello, everyone. Today we're recording about self-love. We have two wonderful professionals, and I'm the questioner. So let's start with the question. Self-love, does it appear right from birth, or is it something that's acquired throughout life? Who's first? Well, go ahead, questioner.
It's your show?
My own subjective opinion is that it does not seem to appear right from birth. Rather, we gradually build it up throughout the course of our lives. It is almost as if one of the essential parts of the whole meaning of life is to truly understand what self-love actually is. It's some kind of conditional level that you still have to go through. And it still transforms for you somehow. And at some point, it's like you'll discover this meaning of the phrase self-love for yourself in a new way. What do you think about this?
So let's start with the fact that this is my first video. I'm a bit nervous and actually holding myself back from swearing. Hang in there. I'm hanging in there, yeah. Well, for me, it's always been a question of what self-love is. I thought, beep, beep, what is it even? Everyone says, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And many people make money off of that. All the marathons, the whole beauty industry, spas. Everyone says, like, you're worth it, Wella, I don't know. Buy it, you deserve it. You're there. Anything to sell you some products so that it's like a kind of proof, evidence that, well, I love myself, so I can, buy this makeup, or there again, yeah, body positivity, yeah, some kind. It's always been such a fine line. Either you love yourself as you are and do nothing. Like they're
Accepting.
accepting their stretch marks, cellulite, or the other extreme. You, on the contrary, yeah, don't do sports. Oh, wait, you do sports. And that's also like a manifestation of self-love. I could never understand what self-love actually is. So definitely, it seems to me, at least in my experience, well, I wasn't born with such total acceptance and love for myself. So probably, can I swear a little bit?
Go ahead.
A little bit. So as I always like to say, it's fucking hard work. It's fucking hard work. It's just daily, daily hard work. That's what self-love is probably, is hard work.
Can I ask right away? You just mentioned self-acceptance, but is self-acceptance and self-love the same thing, or is one a part of the other?
Tough question.
Well, life is such that
Well, I think for me, they're kind of synonyms. Self-love and self-acceptance. Maybe at first you just accept yourself piece by piece, like, I don't know. Your inner bitch, yeah, somewhere there, your, like, I don't know, one wrinkle, like, I don't know, small breasts there. So maybe it's like a puzzle. You accept this, you accept that, you accept this, you accept this part, the lazy part. Well, I'll just use my own examples, right? You accept this, you accept that. And then maybe that's the sum of it, total self-love. Or maybe the other way around. You first love some of your parts, and then it adds up to acceptance. I don't know. Well, I think you can't have one without the other, obviously, but I don't know which concept is broader. I just call it leaving yourself alone.
I understand you in a way. Last year I was also saying, God, Anya, leave yourself the hell alone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably.
Okay, what do you think about this? Are they synonyms, or is one a part of the other?
For me, they're both synonyms, and one is part of the other, just because where does self-love even begin? They're basically synonyms. Why? Why? Because both self-acceptance and self-love are those very puzzle pieces that come together into a complete picture. And self-love is when you've achieved a wholeness of self-acceptance. The same goes for self-acceptance. It's when you've achieved a wholeness of self-love. So basically, it's the same thing for me. It's just called slightly different things. Why? Why is it called differently? And there, for example, you could say that acceptance, let's say from what I was asking Golzina today, the meaning of the word, if you go deep into the meaning of the phrase self-love, it's when you treat yourself with tenderness. That is, you don't divide yourself into parts. I love this, like, I don't know, I love my hair, I don't love my breasts, like I love my legs. You don't divide yourself. Self love for me is a kind of wholeness, and self acceptance is when you're at the stage of accepting these certain pieces, individual pieces of yourself within you.
Okay, I have a follow-up question. One way or another, we all possess some level of self-love. Yes. But at the same time, everyone's always saying, love yourself either even more or completely. So what does this concept mean to you? Because, I mean, surely every person takes care of themselves in some way every day and does something for themselves. This is already one way or another a sign of self-love. And how do you know that you're doing it to the fullest and that you could do something more for yourself?
Here, I'll probably immediately mention what Golzina said about how a huge business is built on the topic of self love. What don't I like? I don't like it when they promote the idea that you, well, just do nothing or just, I don't know, just accept yourself. Yes, okay, yes, the initial stage is really about accepting yourself. It's not just accepting the fact that, well, I don't know, for example, maybe like having 50 extra kilograms, which can actually affect your heart. Accepting yourself in this situation is about accepting the fact that you're currently treating yourself in this way rather than accepting the weight itself. And the weight itself is a different story. I mean, separating these concepts. And what bothers me is that people look at this picture in a very distorted way. If those 50 kilograms affect your heart and they tell you to accept yourself, it doesn't mean, okay, I agree that I have them. No, it means that I've been treating myself poorly. And I agree with the fact that I'm treating myself badly, but I want to fix it. It's kind of about a clear, distinct understanding of the meaning of words.
Okay, what's your opinion on this? Go ahead.
I don't know how the topic turned to extra weight, but I'll continue. But it's a great example. I'm that person with extra weight, yes. To elaborate, maybe so that everyone understands too, yes. It's not about criticizing or bashing yourself for the fact that, let's say, yes, well, it happened that I gained some extra weight over time, but no, but rather it's about acknowledging and accepting that, okay, I accept the fact that it happened, it just did, and that's simply the reality of the situation. And the second thing is just to move forward, what to do next, but without torturing yourself and without the anguish of like, how could I, and all that, how you treat yourself. And I'll agree, well, to treat yourself with care and tenderness now. Without this, well, mostly all the big ones, well, probably those who do sports, I don't know, actively, they generally look great, but that doesn't mean they say love themselves, right? In reality, for them, it can also be torture, beating themselves up inside, yeah, forcing themselves or something. And this is a fine balance where I'm also on this path myself, that catching yourself in the moment. Okay, it's sports. Okay, it's extra weight. Okay, it's just not going to a meeting with friends, yeah, whom you don't really want to talk to, or vice versa, doing something there. So every time you don't blame yourself for thinking this way, whether it's bad or good, or for how you feel, and every time you treat yourself with that kind of care. But if we look at it from another angle, right? Because right now it might also be, it'll all be narrowly about the external, like extra weight or, I don't know, taking care of yourself, right? Like we had that introduction today about how to actually turn toward yourself, toward your own side, no matter what that side looks like. To be honest, it's ugly for all of us, right? If we look deep inside ourselves, at first we'll see a terrible picture because we'll face our own truth and see not just how great, kind, or, cheerful we are. We'll also see the things we haven't admitted to ourselves. Like, I don't know, being envious. How do you say it?
Envious.
Like, I don't know, cruel, cold-blooded. I mean, there are so many things that we feel aren't about us, but about her or you, but not me, right? First, you turn toward yourself and strip away all those external supports that your whole attitude toward life and yourself was built on. Like wanting to please others, buying that attention, buying that love. Because someone might look super amazing, cool, and stylish in a fit body, but it's not for them, it's for someone else. I don't know, to please the opposite sex or just to please their followers, always keeping up appearances. There are so many girls who can't even leave the house without makeup, right? So just generally turning toward yourself, and that can be some external. These are attributes, but most often it's something internal in nature. And always thinking to yourself, is it truly my desire to be this way, or do I actually want to please someone else? And if you catch yourself in that kind of inner dialogue, realizing that you're doing it for someone else, then you know it's not really self-love anymore. And if it's self-love, say, fake it until until you believe it, like. But then if I want to look this way, not for myself, but I don't know, to please someone, then what does it even mean to accept yourself? And then you hit another level below that. You can just give up and say, oh, I don't need to please anyone, and put up that defense. I don't care at all what people think of me, and just give up on yourself. Or you say, no, I'm doing this for myself, for my own state of mind and well-being. So it's like just an honest game with yourself, a dialogue with yourself.
Why are you doing all of this? Okay, and now I have two questions that came up while you were talking. First, how do you determine that you don't love yourself or don't love yourself enough? And second, what should you do to start loving yourself? Like, what kind of questions should you ask yourself, or what actions should you take to see it or to improve the situation? Your thoughts. Who's first?
Well, I can say there are certain things that determine how much you love yourself. This probably, well, it doesn't apply to anyone personally, it's just in general. There's an understanding. The first indicator is your physical health. That's a manifestation of self-love. The second indicator is your relationships. That's an indicator of self-love. Because if you allow yourself love, then your relationships are based on love. And the third indicator is your self-fulfillment, meaning how well you are building your career. So basically, your work is a manifestation of yourself. These three stages, no matter which level you start from, there's always a stage. External indicators, health, physical state, your relationships, and your fulfillment. These three indicators show self-love. It's the same as what we discussed earlier regarding responsibility. Responsibility, it's also about the physical, about relationships, and about fulfillment. Self-love is the same thing. And you can play any kind of chess game with it. Like there's a center, self-love. And for example, like the excess weight I mentioned, or maybe being a total gym rat. Neither of those is actually self-love. Those are all extremes of that center. If this is the center, then those are the extremes. The same goes for having a great career or doing absolutely nothing at all. Like having a brilliant career but having no relationships. Doing absolutely nothing. Staying at home and raising children. Having a family but having no career, that isn't self-love either. And everything we're talking about, essentially, these are all extremes. But the goal of it all is to reach this middle ground where you have good health, physical fitness, and wonderful relationships. And your self-fulfillment. That is what self-love is.
Okay, and you? What do you think about this? Do you agree with this opinion?
I actually always agree with Baki.
Great. We found a compromise.
Well, yeah, I can't understand. I didn't think at all that I'd be like a professional in this interview. I thought I'd be like asking questions too.
Well, yeah, and you can answer now. Come over to my, what do you call it, dark side and ask questions.
No, well, actually, I agree. For instance, I'll try to answer your question, how to tell if I don't love myself, right? Well, let's be honest. We all have questions for ourselves, specifically about self-love. They just take different forms for everyone. I don't know, met a single person yet who was in total acceptance of self-love. Absolutely. I mean, without working on it. Honestly, I just, well, haven't seen it at all. Even if you look from the outside, I don't know, handsome, successful, they have everything right, fulfilled, in a relationship and like 6 children there. Well, from the outside, the picture is perfect. But there's no guarantee that the person is actually filled with love. First and foremost, both for themselves and for life, just absolutely honestly. And for me, that's always been a question too, like, damn, why, if even this person, right, isn't filled, damn, where is it even, this root of everything? And if you think about it, like you say, how to tell if I don't love myself there. A person always, I think, if they're honest with themselves, they realize that they're just unhappy in the daily routine. Something or other doesn't suit them. I have a lot even at the moment, so I can't consider myself to be like that now. The kind of person who's ready to give interviews, give advice. I also have a long way to go on all fronts, right? Besides some things obvious to people, like, well, yeah, she's, I don't know, not married, she has weight issues, whatever else. I'm always like for the internal. I keep the focus on my internal needs. What I want, how I want it. So a person, if we all get together in a bunch now and say, you know, Anna, you have all the clear signs of not loving yourself.
Sounds a lot like the truth, to be honest.
Well, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. A person looks in the mirror themselves, not even in the mirror, they're in a dialogue with themselves. If they're honest, they understand where they have, damn, a void. And if this void is in the soul, by themselves in silence, not where they're filling stadiums, not where they're busy 24/7 with kids or something else, or in the gym, just in silence, one on one, doing nothing, sitting on the toilet and thinking, am I even happy or not? Do I even love myself or not? That's when the answers probably come. And overall, if such questions come to you, it means you're already asking them and you're already ready to take some kind of action. And I forgot the second question.
Wait, I'll remind you. The second question is when you realize that you don't love yourself enough, right? And things aren't exactly great on all fronts. There's a bit here and a bit there. What should those do who've realized, well, there are some problems? Where do we go from here?
What to do, what to do, what to do. Yeah. And I'll probably also agree with what Posh is saying. Can I call you Posh? You're like Golzina, Golzina officially, yeah. You're Posh to us. It's true. I've tried being at different weights. I've tried being in different relationships. I've tried different ways of self-realization. In the end, what I came to realize was that it was all just external factors, that I was actually doing it for someone else really the whole time. I realized that, I don't know, throughout my entire life up until a certain point, I never really did anything just out of love for myself. And when I finally decided to do something for myself, out of genuine love, my whole world honestly just turned upside down. And now, you know, it's like I'm also still on this path. I'm not there yet. I'm still finding my way. I'm also gathering these little pieces bit by bit where I've understood what the meaning of health is for me, what the meaning of true relationships, honest, deep relationships is for me, what self-realization means to me. And I'm also kind of climbing, or I don't know, crawling in that direction, dancing, yeah, making all the moves to get there. And I think it's probably one of those things where, honestly, it's a gradual process, basically something that unfolds throughout your whole life and you're always heading in that direction. But now, for example, well, from the perspective of when you do something for someone or for something, especially if it is specifically to prove something, to justify yourself or to be loved, it's worth thinking about the reasons behind these actions. It happens very quickly, but it's, you know, like, what do you call it? Anyway, I call it the push start. It's a story of, well, no more than 7 years, meaning you really wanted to prove something to someone. You have this very sharp burst, you ride on it, and at some point you burn out because that energy runs out and you have a setback. But then immediately, say, questions arise, right? They'll say, well, for example, I know families where, say, a person has been living at this pace for, I don't know, 16 years, 20 years. I'll answer your question right away. They're simply harvesting a certain energy from their children. In other words, they're taking away their children's future. In order to have their own realization, financial wealth, they take it from there. And it's not a given that when these children grow up, they'll have a good future.
Most often, history shows that successful people have children who aren't quite fulfilled. And those children who stay in the shadow of such successful children, actually. Yes. Okay, but wait. We've just heard. I'm trying to get some real steps from you. I kind of heard what you said, like gradually. It's a choice every day. I agree with that.
Yes.
Specifically,
Yes.
give me the steps.
Yes.
What should I do? So I've listened to this interview. What should I go and do right away? Not just a life hack, but a concrete action, or maybe 3 actions. I don't know. Or at least a direction I should take and do something, because without action, you're unlikely to achieve anything at all. Without action, unfortunately, nothing happens. I'm the kind of person who really doesn't like being idle. Well, for example, the first step probably is to be in silence. My first real shift happened when I artificially created 40 days of silence for myself. I mean, I went to work. Okay, yes, I agree. I couldn't do it without silence there. But I intentionally didn't communicate with anyone, didn't meet up. And I'm someone who loves socializing everywhere, with everyone. I'm everywhere. You know, everyone comes to me and I'm everywhere. The first to rescue is me. The first to entertain is me. I mean, I love the attention too. And that's because I realized, to be honest, that I was buying that attention. And that's why I set up 40 days of silence for myself. So 40 days wasn't specifically planned, but I created a silence for myself, what my silence would be like. And it's exactly this silence that shows what your life is filled with, what your head is filled with, what thoughts. It turns out I was doing all of that without contact for someone else. And that already reveals that, well, the picture is that I'm not doing it for myself. And in this silence, you really understand, you hear your own desires. The first step probably, I don't know. I really honestly swear, I don't know if it'll work for everyone, but try it. This is my personal experience. I created silence for myself. And the silence showed me what I want, what's valuable to me and what isn't. Sometimes it was painful to say goodbye to things, to say goodbye to people. But it showed me that everything I'd built, all the supports, they were all external. I thought my internal support was there for me, but honestly, it really wasn't like that. It just wasn't the kind of steady, reliable support that could actually withstand the goals I want to achieve. My goals, as it turns out, were global, big, cool, exciting.
And my support, it can't hold up, so nothing I want was working out. All the support was external, and this silence, it just laid everything bare for me. Probably the first step is to hear yourself, to understand yourself, but it's impossible to do. Well, imagine, I don't know, even if you're a mother of 6 children, you're constantly, busy working. There's so much pressure on women, actually, and you're everywhere. So a person somehow just dissolves into everything and doesn't understand what they want. For me, the first step is silence.
So you needed silence just to understand what you yourself want?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk.